By the way, as you can see, I'm presenting another bike test, and it's possible that it will come with the greatest ease this year. I can show you the best cycle track, at least the one that comes to us from the Chinese market. Join me! This is already the second OneSport bike this year. After the OT16, here is the OT05, which is a completely different kind of bike, since your OT16 was a 20-fold. This one is a 27.5, a bicycle with 2-inch wheels. There's nothing unusual in the video. We'll go through the usual process, unpacking and assembly. Return the orders. Now I'll talk a bit about the bike, about the exterior, then come the experiences. Let's get started with the assembly. The bike is relatively simple, in a cardboard box. It arrives in a box, everything is disassembled, the front wheel, the front and rear fender, the rack, the seat, the pedals. So you basically have to install everything yourself, which thankfully is not too complicated. What I can suggest, in a new way for the assembly, make sure to get some thread locking paste, because the factory default one doesn't hold well. No, there are no thread lockers on the screws anywhere, and if you want to use the bike for a long time and don't want to lose the screws, you will need a thread locker. So get some thread locker paste. Use it. The other thing I can suggest is getting a size 10 socket wrench. Because the installation of the mudguard on the front wheel is incredibly awkward, you won't be able to screw that nut onto the bolt with the factory tools. So you'll need a 10mm wrench. The third thing that definitely needs to be mentioned is, because this is the first Chinese bike that arrived to me, where I had to adjust the brake caliper, on all the other bikes, I only had to install the wheel. If the brake was mechanical, then the brake had to be adjusted to grip properly. But there was never a problem with the brake caliper being in the wrong place. With this OT05, both brake calipers were in the wrong place and needed. To the brake disc. So be prepared to adjust the brake calipers. It's not a complicated thing. Turn the bike upside down, loosen the 2 screws on each brake caliper, so it doesn't squeak. Make sure the metal doesn't touch the metal. Tighten it and it will work. It's not complicated, but be prepared for this too. We also have accessories. I've already talked about the mudguard, but I'll mention again that we get very good quality metal mudguards. To the side and back, we get an incredibly good quality rear rack, which is even topped with a wooden panel that says 25. It can hold up to a heavy weight, deliver many packages. We get the first light, this is usual. We get a rear light. The interesting thing about the rear light is that it's connected to the electric system, so it's not battery operated or battery powered, but it runs on battery. Brakes. There are also sensors in the brake levers, so when you pull the brake, the rear light acts as a brake light. This can definitely be considered an extra feature. Chinese bicycles, not extra but very good. The central computer display is readable even in sunny weather. Unlike many other flashy, colorful displays, it turned out really well. We also have a USB charger, a USB-A charging, and I cannot install it now, but we will get it. A relatively well-made phone holder, which is also rainproof. So this is a relatively good group. I don't think there are any problems with the accessories. We get good quality reflectors, so these are good. What I must highlight is, although we don't get the front rack as an accessory, the standard mounting point, you can get them online, but for a little money you can buy a front rack which varies in size and load capacity. Relatively small in size. There's a longer one. It can hold about 10 kilograms. It can also hold 20 kilograms. So if you buy such a rack, then you can have a giant luggage rack on this as well. And also a giant luggage rack in the back. The seat is relatively comfortable, a bit too soft for me. Too wide, somewhat reminiscent of a women's saddle, but the quality is not bad. Whether it will be good for long term, we will see. Decided it's a bit wide and a bit soft for me. If this were my bike, I would definitely change the seat for long rides, but luckily that's not such a big deal. Cost. Okay, let's move on to the point that, so what can this bicycle do? Let's talk a bit about the technical details. The drive is from 36V, powered by a 250-watt Ananda motor, which is a rear hub motor, built into the rear wheel in the usual way. It's built in, of course, this is also a 36-volt battery, 18.3 ampere hours, which is above average, because in these babies, In battery-powered machines, typically between 10 and 15 ampere hours, they usually put a battery, so 18.3 for every 1 per minute. It's considered a positive, allowing for longer distances on a single charge. An absolute plus is that our brakes are hydraulic. This applies to both the front and the rear, of course. The point here is not just that, it doesn't move the brake with the cable. Although this is very important because the cable can stretch, the hydraulic brake can be identified for a long time. It can provide braking power. Much more important is that these are on 180 mm discs. You can get 2-cylinder brakes, which means that the brake pad does not press against the disc from one side to the other brake pad on the opposite side, but from both sides. 2 pistons press the 2 brake pads onto the disc. This results in much better. Controllable, the braking effect will be much more noticeable. It will be harder to fall off of it. However, the brake pads in it are a bit squeaky. But this is still a better situation, as you can order good ones relatively cheaply from China. High quality brake pads, and they will not squeak. The brake itself is hydraulic. There's no need to replace the entire system. Just replacing the brake pads will be more than enough. As I could mention, it is the first shock absorber. That it is a simple and cheap thing. You can't either adjust the preload or close it. On the plus side, the built-in spring has a good chance. This has an uneven top or the bottom. But some are a bit, and the other parts are sturdier, meaning it handles small road imperfections well, but it doesn't bottom out on larger ones. There's one more thing. And what's more, this bicycle also has a Bluetooth channel, and with this, the package is complete, because we get the phone holder, we get the USB charger, and we also get the Bluetooth channel, including the phone application. This mobile application is completely familiar in other respects. Smart home app, which various manufacturers adopt. Tweak a bit, give it a different name, but feature-wise it remains the same. Regarding knowledge, this application is similar to many other manufacturers. To be more precise, with the same application, we can adjust minimal things in it, like turning on the lamp. Adjust the assistance strength, of which there are 3 on this bicycle, specifically 4 because there's a 0 when we're just pedaling, but there are 3 power levels above that. Additionally, what can be mentioned as an extra is the application. Route tracking too. So if you start it, you'll see on a map where you're going using your phone's GPS. Okay? That's it for the technical details. I think I've said everything that could be said. I'd like to talk a bit about the bike's appearance because, well, it looks a bit... We wish you a good appetite. At first glance, it looks like a women's bicycle, and according to the manufacturer, and in my opinion, we're not talking about a women's bicycle, it's more of a manufacturer. We're talking about a very usable, comfortable, and incredibly practical city bike, as a friend of mine said. Imagine, Zoli, when you sit the child in the back seat and want to sit yourself, how do you lift your leg over them? And this is just one example among many of why this solution is so convenient. You can argue about it, and if you're picky and macho, then definitely don't buy it, because, well, a macho man wouldn't ride a woman's bike, but if you prefer practicality and want a comfortable and well-usable bike, then I think forget about it. Because this wheel is absolutely good, absolutely usable, as I said. It's good for loading, you can get good racks for it. Okay, it's good for career work, good for shopping, good for commuting, good for bringing the kid home from kindergarten too. So I think this is the form. Usually it's not a problem. If that's the case for you, then obviously choose another one. The frame itself is aluminum. Let's see the welding, the joints, everything is very, very nice. The paint job looks great. Mine is dark blue, but you can also get it in a brownish shade or white. This blue paint job has a bit of a metallic finish. I think it's a bit faster. The paint layer is thin. It could have been a bit thicker because, well, I feel like this paint job is a bit prone to scratches, so you have to be careful. But the quality itself is actually absolutely good. There are no rust spots on it. The chipped parts are completely fine. Okay, now I would like to say a few words about what it's like to use this bike, because I think this is perhaps the most important thing in this whole matter, in this country. In the year 2005, Because this year, I've received many bikes that are torque sensor based rather than pedal sensor based. The big advantage of a torque sensor compared to a pedal sensor is that the torque sensor can be dynamically adjusted. It provides torque for the hub motor in the rear wheel. As you put power into pedaling, it adds power to the rear motor like this. This is not an on-off thing. So when the pedal sensor started pedaling, it started pedaling, it started pedaling. Then the engine turns on and immediately starts pushing with full power. This bike pushes with the same force as you pedal. Essentially, it feels like there's no motor, but you would have become muscular on the way because you don't feel the motor assisting you. You just feel that it's much easier and you can climb hills much more easily without having trained. Your calves haven't gotten stronger. Your thighs haven't gotten stronger. Still, it feels like you are much stronger. But you're not, it's just the motor assisting me. I must know that this 250 watt motor with my own 14M, it's not a beast, so it definitely won't take you up the Matra mountains easily without breaking a sweat, because this motor is not enough for that. However, it is plenty enough to handle small inclines with the cart. In level 1 or 2 assist mode, you can climb medium hills without much effort at speed level 3. If you want to climb really big mountains, you climb them. Indeed, you will need to put in quite a bit of effort in this system, but that extra 14 Nm, it will still be there, and that 14 Nm does not have to come from your legs, but from the rear. The small motor will add to it. So the experience of cycling with this bike, it was absolutely perfect, and I really can't say anything bad about it. What is bad, I have said, and these are not so bad things, which would influence the decision to buy or not to buy, because these things can be overlooked. And the equipment, the accessories, the knowledge, everything absolutely perfect. Okay, I won't go on about this anymore. I think I've said everything. I'm very satisfied with it. I knew it would be good because this bike has already been featured on other channels and I have talked to testers and everyone was satisfied. So a surprise from this point of view. It didn't cause me any problems either, but no negative surprises either. So I pretty much agree with them that this is one of the best, if not the best, cheap Chinese torque sensor bikes this year. To conclude, as previously mentioned about the price, I saw it roughly like you can get this bike for between 360,000 and 380,000 forints. As I said, it's available in 3 colors. Can be purchased. This price is usually available with a coupon. You can find it below the video. Like the coupon code you can use to purchase it. Shipping is from the warehouse, so it will arrive to you quickly. As usual, no need to pay customs or VAT. I also wrote an article on about the OT05. You will also find its link below the video on YouTube. Read it if you're interested in this bicycle and might want to buy it. That's all for today. And this week, I will be back next week with 2 more tests and 2 more videos. Be good and take care of yourselves. Bye.